Welcome to the FibreBound Podcast. My name is Alexandra and I am coming to you from Adelaide, Australia, where I live with my husband, our 2 sons and our dog Shorty. We also have chickens. We have 6 chickens as well. This is episode 22. I am back within the month. How fantastic is that? I am keeping on schedule, which feels great. This is predominantly a knitting podcast, but I also dabble in a bit of crochet and hope to also get to some sewing this year. We will see if that actually happens. It hasn't been a thing for the last couple of years, but we'll see how we go. If you're new here, welcome. You're very welcome here. And if you're a returning viewer, welcome back. Thank you so much for joining me. It is such an honor to know that you're spending your precious time listening to me talking about my knitting projects. I have a coffee today in a handmade mug that I purchased last year from a local potter. I think they're called potters. I think it was Earth's Clay. I will link their shop or their Instagram down below. They are local to me. I actually went and picked this up and one for my husband last year from their studio, which was very fun. So I'm just drinking a black coffee this morning. It is still early. My watch has gone flat, so I don't know what time it is. There's my phone. It's 10 o'clock in the morning, so it's actually not that early. I've had a busy start to the day. I've been looking after the chickens this morning. I've done some laundry, and yeah, all of a sudden it's 10 a.m. even though I was up with the birds. What else do I usually say in the intro? You can find me on Instagram as FibreBound, and you can also find me on Ravelry as Alipay. Get some more administrative things out the way. We have a year-long knit-along happening in 2024. It is the Use Your Sock Yarn Mal, and I made it a make-along because I'm happy for you to crochet, to knit, to use your yarn in the way that works best for you. And it is a knit-along to use your sock yarn. My aim is to use some sock yarn from Stash, but I am actually really happy for you to use any yarn you purchase throughout the year as well if you wish. It doesn't have to be Stash yarn. And I'm also being very flexible with the weight of the yarn. If you would knit socks with it, then it is considered sock yarn. So that includes DK weight yarn that you would knit socks with. And I've also had a few questions about the composition of the yarn. In my last episode, I mentioned that if it had nylon, it was sock yarn. But I've been reminded that some people knit socks with yarn that doesn't have nylon in it. So my stipulation is, if you would knit socks with it, it is sock yarn. Doesn't matter what kind of socks. So yeah, it's pretty relaxed. I will link the Ravelry thread down below that actually specifies all of the terms and conditions. And if you knit something, it doesn't have to be socks, within a calendar month this year, then you can enter in for extra prizes via a Google Doc that I've created that I will also link down below. And otherwise, just participate by using the hashtag on Instagram. And there's also a chatter thread on Ravelry that you're welcome to have a chat and meet some other like-minded makers there as well if Instagram isn't accessible for you. Okay, now that administrative stuff is out the way, let's get started. Now today I have a couple of finished objects. I've got a few works in progress, one of which is brand new, and I've got a few acquisitions. Not a crazy amount of acquisitions, but there are a few there. So let's get started. My first finished object for my make-along that I just spoke about are a pair of socks. And I will show you these socks in just a second, but I just wanted to talk about them quickly. They will actually be my first pattern. I am currently in the process of writing them up. I am about to get them tech edited by my good friend Gayanne from Perfect Pairings, and I will be releasing it at some point. I'm not sure of the timeline right now. I haven't actually finished writing the pattern yet, even though I have written some of it. I just need to format it. That's the problem. And knitting time is trumping writing and formatting time at the moment. But let's show you these socks. So these are my January socks that I knit as part of my make-along. And I love them so much. These are knit on a 56 stitch count. Then I made them in a size that I would usually knit for myself. And I started off with a 2x2 rib here, and then I did some texture throughout the leg and the foot, and used a contrasting yarn as well. They are knit in Finch Yarn's super soft sock base. I'm pretty sure I don't have the tag with me at the moment. I'm pretty sure it's an 80-20 base. I could be wrong, it might be an 85-15, I can't remember. And the mini was from them as well. I purchased this yarn in December during Vlogmas and was really excited to cast them on in the new year, and I'm so happy with how they've turned out. I was inspired to knit some texture into them because the colour is quite tonal, and I thought it would add a little bit of interest to the knitting process in particular, and these just flew off my needles. If you've been following me for a while, you will know that I did a lot of self-striping socks in previous episodes, and the idea of knitting a stripe, or the process of knitting self-striping socks, makes it feel like you're going faster because you're constantly anticipating that next stripe. So what I found with this tonal yarn, which I haven't done a tonal sock ever, I don't think, I was concerned about sort of feeling like I was lost in endless stockinette, which I don't mind. I actually love stockinette, but I just feel like I wouldn't see the progress as quickly. So I decided to put some texture into it, and I made up a bit of I think it's a 6-row repeat, and I will be releasing this pattern sometime soon. I'll keep you updated, probably on Instagram, if not on this podcast in next month. Hopefully they'll be out before then, we shall see. And yeah, it was such a fun project. I really, really loved it. Now I did a slip stitch heel flap for these. I do enjoy the way they look and the way they fit. Don't always love the process of knitting them, but these ones flew off the needles. And I did a rounded toe as well to finish them off in the contrast colour. And I love them. They make me so happy. So I'm very happy with those. Pattern coming soon. First ever pattern for me, which feels really exciting. I haven't seen this particular textured pattern on any other socks before, which is why I thought I'd write them up, because they were really fun to knit. A lot of mindless rows on top of a bit of interest. So very fun project. Very happy with this finished object. First pair of socks for the year, and very happy with it. So that's finished object number 1. Now finished object 2 and 3 are another pair of things that I crocheted. So this is my first crochet project of the year, and I was inspired by the Crazy Sock Lady to start one of these, and also by my friend Kath, the Mindful Melbourne Maker, who posted on Instagram recently that she made one, and it was such a quick cleansing project for her. I felt like I had a couple of big things on the needles at the time, and I just wanted something quick and satisfying. So I made 2 pot holders. Now these are a pattern by Bev's Country Cottage. I could be mistaken there. They are the Turn On Itself pot holder. It's a free pattern on Ravelry, and it is so quick and easy. Now I used cotton yarn. This is an 8-ply cotton in, oh gosh, the colorway. I forgot to talk about the colorway of the other one. They were a one-of-a-kind colorway for the socks, which is why I didn't mention them, but I think they're called Grubby Point. I forgot to mention at the start, I did forget some administrative things. All of the projects will be linked down below. I do keep quite good notes, I guess, on my Ravelry project pages. If I haven't said anything specific, which I again realised I didn't tell you what needles I knit those socks on. I knit all my socks on the 2.25mm US 1 needle. Feeling very rusty. This is not starting strongly. But okay, back to this project. Goodness gracious, all over the place. Back to this one. I crocheted this on my Clover Amour, I think they are called, crochet hook, and it was a 4mm, I think that's a G hook from memory. I crocheted them on that hook, and I had that already in my collection. And the yarn I actually purchased last month from Spotlight. It's a big box store in Australia, similar to a Michael's, I think. And this was an 8-ply cotton, so it was a lot finer than the cotton used in the pattern. So I did have to modify it a little bit from the pattern. Now I think the pattern tells you to start off with 30 or 35 chains. I tried that. I tried 35, I tried 40. I ended up going up to 46 chains, and I felt like it still could have been a little bit bigger. But I am much happier with the size now than I was with the 30 chain. I ended up ripping that back and restarting a couple of times. So it maybe wasn't as quick as it might be when I subsequently make them. Certainly that second one went a lot faster once I figured out how many chains I needed to do. And yeah, I keep going back and forth. I used an 8-ply cotton. I don't remember the colorway, probably navy. It's all in the project page. And I have made these as a gift. So this, if you've been around for a while, you will know that this is not really a me colorway, but I had someone in mind when I picked out this yarn that I'm hoping to gift that in the next couple of weeks. So yeah, they're my first pot holders ever, and they were really lovely and easy to make. Now the seaming process is explained, I think, to some extent in the pattern. I think I went a little bit rogue. I watched a couple of YouTube tutorials because I'm not a seasoned crocheter, and I sometimes like to see how someone else has done something to understand the instructions in crochet. So I ended up doing, I think it was more of a mattress stitch rather than a whip stitch that's in the pattern. I can't remember what's in the pattern now, but yeah, I'm quite happy with the neatness of that finish. I think it looks quite pretty. And I did a couple of little holders at the top there, and I think I only chained 15. I think the pattern says 20. So a couple of modifications there. And also another thing to note, I think generally they're meant to be a square. Mine turned out as rectangles, and I think that has more to do with my gauge than anything else. Again, don't crochet that much. But they matched up pretty well. I'm really happy that they are definitely a set. They're not completely different sizes, so that's exciting. So yeah, I think that's all I needed to say about this pattern and this project. Very enjoyable. The first one I did within 24 hours, like a full day. I think we had a public holiday, so I wasn't at work, and I started it first thing in the morning and finished it before I went to bed, so that was very satisfying. During that day, I didn't spend the whole day making this. We went out for lunch, we did other things as well, so it did feel like it really went very fast, considering we did other things throughout the day too. The second one I took my time with. I did it over a few evenings, among other projects that I was working on. So yeah, that was a fun finished object. 2 finished objects really. I did them on separate occasions, so I have counted them as 2 separate finished objects in my stats, because they weren't done straight away, one after the other. But yeah, happy with that. Okay, that's it for finished objects. I'm really happy to have had 2 this month. There will be some months where there will be no finished objects, let's be real. Now, before I move on to works in progress, I've realised another thing that I forgot to tell you. What I'm wearing today. I am wearing a t-shirt that says Cast on Itis on it. This t-shirt I purchased from the Nitty Natty spread shirt shop. I knew I would stumble on that. And I will link that down below as well. It is her definition collection. And I have a Cast on Itis one and a few others as well. And I thought this one was quite fitting, because I want to cast on all the things right now, but I'm trying to be good and focus on a couple of whips. So let's get into the works in progress. My first work in progress that I am working on regularly during lunch breaks at work are my socks. I started these socks during Sock Week 2023, which is a knit along that Knitty Natty runs sometime in July. So these have been on the needles for a while. And these are my socks so far. I finished one and I've almost finished the other. I think I have about 15 rounds of the foot left and the toe. I've been working on this second sock on my lunch breaks this last couple of weeks. I had almost thought that I might finish them at the end of January, but I did not. I focused on finishing the crochet potholder instead and then sort of put these to the side and didn't work on them very much. Now, when I knit my socks, and I didn't mention it on the other pair, I use the crazy sock lady method of putting a progress keeper or a stitch marker every 10 rounds to mark my progress and to make sure that I match the length of my socks up. So the second sock also has those markers, and it's an easy quick count of how many rounds I've knit and how many rounds I still have left to go compared to the first sock. So that makes it very easy for me. Now this sock, again, I am not using a formal pattern for this. I kind of just made it up. It's a beautiful variegated yarn, which I'll talk about as well, by Obsession Yarns. I'm pretty sure this is the mermaid scales, mermaid colorway. I'm terrible. I'll have to check the Ravelry project page. I'm pretty sure that has the name of the yarn on there. And it was actually a sock set that I got with this mini, and the mini is a beautiful deep sea green blue. I don't know colors. Yeah, it's really pretty, and it goes with the main color so pretty as well. So these yarns are by Obsession Yarns. Yeah, beautiful yarn. It's so lovely to work with. It's such a lovely knit. And really enjoying it. In terms of the sock itself, I am knitting them with some slip stitch detail, which I've just sort of winged. I'm not using a pattern for this. I've put the notes, I think they're on my Ravelry project page. If they're not, I will add them to it. This one is not worthy of writing a pattern. I think it's very straightforward, very simple. And I've seen lots of people knit this style of sock as well. There possibly is a formal pattern somewhere, but I'm not using a pattern. I just sort of made it up. So yeah, very fun. It's a 2-row repeat and it's very fun. I've said that already. I foresee myself finishing this second sock during the next work week. I do enjoy, when I can, knitting on my lunch breaks. So that is progressing slowly. Now I am holding this project in my Mountain State Stitches project bag. So Mountain State Stitches bag, and I love it. It's such a good bag. You'll see these on a lot of podcasts. I know Lisa from 72 Stitches has one as well. I've seen it on her podcast recently too. And yeah, it's a beautiful sock bag with a gorgeous lining on the inside. And it's a drawstring with a very handy handle as well. So that's very handy for on the go knitting. Yeah, I love this one. My next work in progress is one that I shared with you last time, and I did make quite a bit of progress on it before I got hooked on my sock project, my January socks. So I made quite a bit of progress on this. I'm keeping this project in a project bag by the Knitter's Suitcase, my friend Daniela, who is based in Perth, Australia. I picked this up during Vlogmas and I love it, and the reason why I'm keeping it in my Christmas bag is because this is being knit out of my Advent yarn from Louie and Lola. Now, as a reminder, if you didn't catch last episode or you weren't around for Vlogmas, I got this amazing Advent from Louie and Lola yarns in December, or in 2023. Oh, sorry, there's glare from my light. and I'm storing it in this box that I picked up from Kmart. So the advent didn't come in this box. I purchased this and have popped all the minis in there. It's perfect. It has 24 spaces for 24 minis. I am knitting the Radvent cardigan by Amber O'Brien, and last time I shared this with you, I did not put a progress keeper in, which is very bad podcasting etiquette. But I think I might have been somewhere around here, somewhere in the greens, when I shared this with you in January. So this is the first half. You knit this one sideways on the bias. Is that the right word? I'm not sure. So you start off at the cuff, you knit the first sleeve till the back, you sort of separate it there, so you can see the back has more, you might be able to see that, I'm not sure, it's pretty dark yarn than the front. And then you put this side down and you start the second sleeve. And so the second sleeve has progressed quite a lot too. So I started again at the cuff. I think the cuff was done when I shared it with you last time, so I've knit all of that sleeve. And oh my gosh, these colours are so divine. I love this so much. Loving all of this so much. It's such a fun project. Now I've put it down for a couple of weeks, so I haven't actually worked on it for a little while. But I'm so impatient to pick it up again. I'm just trying to finish something else that I will work through something else that I will talk about shortly. But this is such an amazing, fast, inspiring project. If you have an advent calendar that you're not quite sure what to do with, I highly recommend the Radvent cardigan by Amber O'Brien. Now, I was at my mum's the other week and I thought it was fun to actually try this on. So there we go, we've got one half there, and this one might be on slightly too small a needle to get over my bicep. Don't want to lose any stitches. Oh no, but look, it's almost done. Not quite, but we're getting there, which is really exciting. So I think I'm on colour 7 at the moment of the second side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yes, I'm still on colour 7. The ball's still attached. I'm actually thinking I'm almost ready to move to colour 8 by the looks of this, but I'll need to check my pattern. And then I need to get through to colour 12, I think, before I join the two sides together. And then there's just a button band and a hem to knit with the main colour as well. And the main colour is this one here, which was the full skein in the advent. Up focusing. And it's so pretty. It ties everything together so nicely. So this has been a super fun project. I'm sad that I've put it down. I really want to work on it. I wish there were more knitting hours in the day, because this one is lingering right now and I'm not very happy about it because I just want to work on it. It's so fun. So that's work in progress number 2, and it is amazing. I can't remember what size I'm knitting, but I am knitting, oh that's right, I did have to size down needles. I didn't get gauge on the recommended needles. I sized down to a 3.75, which is a US 5 for this project. And yeah, it's so fun to work on this. Like I said, highly recommend. I'm hoping to get back to this one very soon, but I have a new cast on to share with you, which is my final whip for this episode. So I've got 3 on the go right now, actively working on 2, though I have done a lot of work on this one since I saw you last. So my final work in progress, that is an active whip. I do have other work in progresses, but I haven't worked on them since I saw you last, so I'm not going to talk about them because they haven't had any love recently. But the final one I'm holding in my Knitting Dentist project bag that she sent me back in, gosh, a few years ago now when she was making bags. She's currently not making bags, but she is super talented. This is my friend Krista. She is based in Denver, Colorado. So yeah, she hasn't made bags or she hasn't sold bags for a little while, but hopefully one day she'll open up her shop again. But it is the Knitting Den shop. She is a dentist by day and a knitter by night, and she's an amazing friend. So yeah, holding it in this bag. And I have started a test knit for my dear friend Anina Yuti, or Ani Yuti Knits on Instagram. And Anina is based in Finland and designs amazing patterns of all sorts. But the latest one that I'm testing right now is a colourwork sweater. So this is the main colour that I am using. It's a 2-colour colourwork, and it is by Bendigo Woolen Mills in the colour Old Rose. It is 100% merino, I think. No, it isn't. It is 75% wool, 15% net fibre and 10% bamboo. It is the Bendigo tweed base on an 8-ply. Though the meterage of this is a 200 gram ball, and there are 400 meters in a 200 gram ball, which to me almost makes it a light worsted, realistically. So that is the main color, and this is the contrast color, which is called Natural, and it is on the same base. This one I've had in stash for a while, and it is actually left over from a sweater that I knit a few years ago, the Panglosian sweater. And yeah, so I only had 1 ball of this, but I had quite a bit of this in stash that I purchased, I would like to say a couple of years ago now. So yeah, they are looking beautiful together. And the pattern that I am testing is called the Amidala sweater. So I am about halfway through the yoke, the colourwork yoke at the moment, trying to figure out how I'll show you this. And this is how it's looking. I tried it on this morning, and it's just on my shoulders at the moment, and oh my gosh, I'm so happy with my colour choice. I'm so happy with how it's knitting up. I'm so excited for this project. Now this is a test knit, and the pattern is anticipated to be out sometime in, I want to say, late March, maybe early April, maybe mid-March. But by the end of March, I think it should be released. I will keep you updated. I'll definitely be talking about this again next month, because I would like to get it finished by then, which is why I haven't worked on the Radvent cardigan. Once I got accepted to this test, I was very excited to swatch and get started on it. Now I am knitting this on the recommended needle size. I did swatch on a size lower, thinking that would be a better gauge for me, but it ended up being too tight. So I am knitting on the recommended needle size, and it looks like I'm on gauge at the moment. This yarn has a tendency of not changing when you wash your swatch. However, when you wash your garment, I have found that it does change a little bit, I guess with the weight of a sweater rather than a swatch. So yeah, I was a little bit worried that it would grow a lot more than the swatch indicates, which is what happened to a garment that I knit last year with a slightly different base but by the same mill. Now Bendigo Woolen Mills is an Australian based mill if you're in Australia, I highly recommend trying out some of their yarns. I find them very affordable options for some beautiful quality yarns, and very soft too. This is very next to skin soft for me, and I am quite a sensitive person, so it sounds funny. I'm quite sensitive to wool. Generally, I love a merino because it is next to skin soft, but this is lovely. I do love this base. Great fun project. There's not much else to say about it, I don't think. I've knit a few colourwork projects, but maybe not a prolific colourwork knitter, so I do get a little anxious about my floats and about catching floats and about making sure the tension stays consistent throughout. But so far so good. There are a few areas where I maybe had a float that was a little too loose, but I think it's working out great. Yeah, really happy with this. Very fun. Okay, so those are all my works in progress. As I said, I have others, but I haven't worked on them. I am really keen to start a few things though. I really want to make a few more dishcloths, which I'll talk about some new acquisitions in a minute. I really want to start the Sweet Shop blanket by Laura Penrose of Penrose Knits. I've been thinking about that so much. It's kind of, yeah, becoming an obsession about how much I'm thinking about it, but there just aren't enough hours in the day for me to knit all the things that I want to knit that are on my needles, and I don't want to overwhelm myself by starting too many things at once. So I'm trying to avoid this. Okay, let's get into the acquisitions. There's a nice small dainty pile over on my chair. So my first acquisition for the month was a project bag. I have a good number of project bags, but I maybe don't have enough larger ones for sweater projects. I feel like I'm a little restricted with those. I have a lot of sock project bags that are amazing, but I definitely feel like I need more larger project bags because I'm feeling very inspired by sweater knitting at the moment. That could change. We could get to, next month and I could say I don't want to knit sweaters at the moment. But right now that's where my inspiration is, and I'm really enjoying those processes. But I picked up a project bag from a local to me maker whose card I have in the bag so I wouldn't forget it. So this bag is by Vintage Mildred. Vintage Mildred is Deborah, and Deborah is located here in Australia as well. And I found this on Etsy by searching for chicken fabric. If you've been here before, you know that we purchased, or we did purchase 6 chickens, 6 baby chicks in November last year. They are now 12 weeks old, almost 13 weeks old, and they're thriving. They're doing so well. We got 3 leghorns and 3 australorps. And I have seen a fabric that is being used in some bags by, I think it's Mountain States. No, it's not. Bags by Awesome Granny maybe. But they either don't ship to Australia or the shipping was exorbitant. I can't remember which of those two. I think they don't ship to Australia. That was my problem. So I started searching for chicken fabric bags in Australia. And I found one. I found exactly what I was after. So there's some beautiful leghorns on there. There's a leghorn and what look like australorps to me as well. So they're knitting chickens and they're adorable, and I'm so happy with this bag. It's maybe not big enough to house a sweater unless it's a fingering weight sweater perhaps. It is maybe better for a true skein shawl, but it is a bit bigger than your average sock size bag. So I think that's my sock bag, and that feels bigger. If I open it up, it's definitely taller. Yeah. So I'm really excited by this acquisition. It is adorable. I haven't put anything in it yet. I wanted to show it to you first, but I might actually put some dishcloth projects in here that I'm planning to start and work on throughout this month. Fingers crossed. If I can find more making time. But yeah, isn't it adorable? I will link Deborah's shop down below. There are some amazing project bags in the shop, and it was really hard not to buy others as well, but I had intended to buy this one and I was so excited to find it. It makes me so happy. So that's acquisition number 1. Now, a couple of other acquisitions that have already been used up were the yarns for these dishcloths. I think I might have the tags available actually, and the leftovers. I don't think I talked about how much yarn I used for those, but I used under 50 grams for each of those. And this is the yarn that was. So this was an acquisition in January. Oh, our focus is playing up a little bit today. So it's the Flimner's cotton. in the colorway, I will tell you now, Ocean. And that's what's left of one ball, and that's what's left of the second ball. So that might go into a scrappy dishcloth maybe. I think it's about 15 grams there, maybe not enough for a dishcloth, but if I gain more scraps, then that will be good. And so that was another acquisition that I made in January. Yes, that was still January. And then I went to Lincraft, which is another big box store similar to Michael's again, and I found some more of this organic maker cotton. Now this one is more of a 10 ply. This has 150 meters per 100 grams, and this is the colorway Denim. And I also got, and I only bought one of these, which I should have bought two, but I only got the one and then forgot to get a second one when I went back with my mum. And Mum and I went again a couple of days later, and I picked up two of these green ones that are in the colour Hedge Green. So there's the acquisitions from Lincraft. And I can't wait to make more pot holders. I feel like I'm a little bit obsessed. And in the spirit of wanting to make more pot holders, I also thought I would invest in some tulip hooks. So I got onto the knitting.co website, which is an Australian knitting supplies yarn website, and I picked up some tulip Etimo hooks. I got the 4mm pink one, which I haven't pulled out of its packet yet, I haven't used it, but I hear great things about these hooks. So that's one. And they also they didn't have any sets available in stock. I wanted to buy a full set, but there was nothing in stock anywhere in Australia. They were just single ones, but they had a pack of 3 others that you could get, which was a much more affordable option than buying all of them individually. So I picked up some extras between 2mm and 3.25mm. So I got them in the charcoal or the grey, and I don't mind that they don't match the pink, but buying this pack of 3 was cheaper than buying 3 individually. So I thought it was a good option. So those were purchased this month, and while I was on their website, they also had some Lily Sugar and Cream in stock. So I picked up this colorway, and this one, I can't remember what it's called. It's only got a number on the ball band, 178, but I know that it definitely had a name on the website when I picked it. I just can't remember what that name was. But yeah, really happy with that, and really excited to try this yarn as well. Really like those colors. For some reason I thought these were 100 gram balls. I think I just was pretty tired when I was ordering them, so I only got the one, and I really wish I'd ordered 2 because I like the idea of having 2 matching pot holders. But yeah, we'll see. If I get on that website again for something else, I'll pop one in my cart if they have any left. But yeah, that was that acquisition. And my final acquisition was my Yarnable January yarn. The February one is still on its way. It takes it a while to get to me here in Australia. I do understand it landed in Australia this morning. I got a notification from the post. But this was the January colorway. You would have seen this on other podcasts if you watch The Crazy Sock Lady, or I've seen it I think on Lisa of 72 Stitches as well. This is called How Time Flies. It is on the plush sock base of 85% superwash merino, 15% nylon, 437 yards to 100 grams. And this is really pretty. Look at that. That's so lovely. So yeah, that was the final acquisition, and it came with some extras that I wasn't going to show you, but in case you haven't seen these before, I do enjoy their extras as well. It came with a 2024 Progress Keeper, stitch count. Oh, whoops, one of those has fallen off. When you're casting on stitches, these are really handy, especially if you're working on a big project. You can pop one every, I think this is every 25 stitches, to keep track of how many stitches you've cast on. Or if you're working on a large project and you want to sort of know how far across your row or your round you've gotten, these are really handy little progress keepers or stitch markers. You could probably use them for rows as well, but that's how I would choose to use them. And then this did arrive in January, and during the month of January you can get a discount code by scratching that, but it also tells you what is in the box. So yeah, I do enjoy getting the Yarnable. I don't get it every month. I usually look at the sneak peek to determine whether I will get it, or I forget to skip it because I haven't looked at the sneak peek. I have skipped the March one just because I don't really need any more yarn in my stash. It is a really pretty colour as well. I have looked at the sneak peek, but I'm not getting through enough to be able to justify getting some every month, realistically. And I am expecting some other yarn to come my way soon as well. So that is all for the acquisitions. That is all for the projects. I think I will be able to keep this episode under an hour, which makes editing me very happy because I think that's the part that I struggle with the most. I love recording. I love speaking with you, but taking away knitting time by having to edit is the struggle for me when it feels like knitting time is at a premium. So okay, I think that is all for my making. Now I'll just talk about some things that I'm reading and watching as well, just because it's fun to sort of hear that and get inspired by other people's interests and what they're seeing and what they're watching. I am currently listening to an audiobook because I don't feel like I have the time to physically read books, so it's a great way for me to feel like I'm reading without reading. And I do love to read. Before I was a knitter, I read a lot, and then once I started knitting, the reading really fell by the wayside because it's hard to knit and read at the same time if you're working on something complicated. And I do find I enjoy watching something on YouTube or a TV show when I'm knitting more so than I enjoy reading while I'm knitting. I feel like, yeah, it's just the multitasking is different between knitting and reading, I think. So what I am reading right now is Iron Flame by Rebecca Yaros, and I have 14 hours left of the second book. So this is Iron Flame. This is the second book in the series. I finished Fourth Wing back in January. I got through Fourth Wing quite quickly because I was driving to and from work and listening to it in the car. This one, since I started it, I'm not listening to it as regularly. My son has started back at school again, so he's with me in the car. And there's some scenes that maybe aren't appropriate to listen to with my 16-year-old in the car. So I tend not to listen to this in the car when he's in there. So I'm not getting as much listening time at the moment. But I do tend to have an audiobook in when I'm doing chores around the house, or if I am on my lunch break and I go for a walk into the gardens, I generally will listen to my audiobook, find somewhere to sit and do some knitting that way as well. So that is what I'm reading right now. What I'm watching, podcasts. I'm catching up on everyone's podcasts. So this morning I caught up on the Crazy Sock Lady. I caught up of Anne of My North Knit Corner, and I'm watching a Vlogentine. I'm enjoying Sweet Skein of Mine's Vlogentine right now. The other day I watched Mad About You's January recap, and that was really fun. And I'm just thinking, who else have I watched lately? I've been watching a lot, so they're the ones that have come to mind just then. But please know that I watch a lot of podcasts. 72 Stitches, Lisa. I watch her regularly as her episodes come out. I am so inspired by her, are they called therapy chickens? I can't remember what they're called now, but the chickens that she's knitting, I'm very keen to get one on my needles, look through my stash and use up some of that. Or not stash, but my scraps. So I'm keen to get, I think it's called a therapy chicken. If I've got it wrong, I'll pop it on the screen. So yeah, really keen to get that done. And in terms of life stuff, it's been a busy month, I think. We celebrated my youngest son's 16th birthday last weekend, and that was really lovely. We had all the family here, and it was just such a good day. It was a hot day. We finally had summer arrive for a couple of days before it got cold again on Monday. Well, cold. It's not cold. It's just not summer weather. It's more dreary or jumper weather. So yeah, today's set to be around 30 degrees, I think, and it started off pretty cool this morning when I went and sorted the chickens out, but I think it's warming up now. And it should be a really lovely weekend. Otherwise, my son has also gone back to school for the year, so he's in year 11 this year, so he has 2 years left of high school. And that is just phenomenal for me, how fast that has gone. My young child is no longer a young child. He got his license on his birthday as well, so he got his learner's permit. My husband has taken him out for a couple of drives, but I've been busy out of the house doing other things, so I haven't had a chance to come along for those. And he's not feeling confident enough to drive to or from school with me just yet. I think he needs to do some more short drives first. The commute for us to get to work and school is about 40 minutes. 20 minutes on the freeway and then 20 minutes in peak hour traffic. And yeah, that's probably a little bit daunting for him right now, and I don't want to pressure him to do something that he's not ready for. He's only had his learner's permit for a week and a half. He's got plenty of time. It's exciting times. We have a house full of licensed drivers. My older son has had his probationary permit since he was maybe 17 and 3 months or so, and he's 19 now, so he's very independent and drives himself to and from work, and yeah, drives himself to his friends' houses, which has been great, especially now that we're living quite a bit further away from where his friends live. He can get himself to and from his mates as he needs to. So yeah, that's probably all. I can't think of anything else that has been of note in the last few weeks. It's just been life, housework, work. Work's going well as well, by the way. We're 4 weeks into being back at work now. Almost, I think I'm about to be in, well, week 5 starts for me next week, I think. And the shine of being back hasn't fully worn off yet. There have been days that have been challenging. But it's been good to be back. It's been really lovely to use that part of my mind again. And yeah, it's good. I hope you're having a great day whenever you're watching this. I hope you've had a chance to do some knitting while you've watched this, or get some chores done. Thank you so much for joining me today. Like I said at the start, did I say it at the start, or was that one of the cuts? I don't remember. But thank you so much. It means the world to me that you're here with me, and I look forward to chatting with you again next month. I think this monthly schedule was the right way to go. I feel like this is attainable. Now it is 11 o'clock in the morning. I've been recording for an hour, but hopefully there's a lot of stuff that I've been able to edit out and keep this nice, short, sweet, and to the point for you. Have a great day. Happy knitting, happy crocheting, happy making, and I'll see you again in March. Wow, that'll be here before we know it. Bye.